It's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, joined once again by my managing editor, my friend, my colleague, Jill Simonello from Chicago. And we're talking trucks and SUVs. If you've never done a live stream before, welcome on live streams. We interact with you, the audience. We are the people behind the channel, behind the scenes, behind the green curtain. We talk to you directly about, what your needs are with trucks and how we can help you with trucks and what knowledge we have and what the hell is going on. That's what we talk about, really. That's the plan. So, thanks, Jill, for joining me yet again. Yeah, she's got a lot
Good to
to
be
say.
here. I'm changing my perspective a little bit. I'm keeping you guys on your toes. I figured, next time maybe I'll face my bookcase. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I like the different scenes behind Jill here. This is exciting. And if you didn't see the excitement she had today, you should check it out. Just dropped a video a couple minutes ago. Jill has a TRX this week in Chicago, and it's entertaining.
It will be.
Oh, we have a little bit of an echo, so I'm working on an echo situation. Let me see if it's hard. So here's the deal. So Jill and I get to this about 15 minutes early, sometimes 30 minutes early. We talk about things, the channel, what we want to do with it, what we want to do with the website. And then we do like a whole testing situation, and we test it all out, and then you go live on YouTube, and then everything falls apart. And Dave knows about this. This is what happens to Dave all the time. It was a speakers, I think, on, I don't know, another computer. I will look at that. I'll figure out what I'm going to do when we're done with the live stream. Go from there. But sorry for the, whatever we're at. We're every 10 minutes of talk, almost 10 minutes of chaos. Chaos. It's just crazy. Harry's on, Dave's on, James is on, Chris is on. Sorry, guys. Juan's here. Doug's here. Nicholas is here. Sorry, guys, for all that hassle of what's going on. Let's get to the topic at hand, and then I'll have her talk about our Nissan Armada again, because you guys didn't hear anything of that. It's the one and only time, I'm going to put this on the calendar, the one and only time that I get to effectively mute Jill, and she can't do anything about it. So just put that in a red date on the calendar. It doesn't happen very often. I'm telling you, she doesn't, yeah, that's what happens. So
Still talking in your head. You can mute me, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work at all. Hey, Keenan. So here we go. So as you guys know, I put a $100 deposit down on a 2021 Ford F-150 Power Boost, aka hybrid, right? So it's at the dealership in Michigan. Well, no, excuse me. I put the $100 deposit down in a dealership in Michigan. Ford sent me 3 sales stickers, Monronis, we call them in the business, saying that these 3, we have the opportunity to possibly be on the dealer lots by the end of the year. Nothing's guaranteed yet. It's just, it could be on the dealer lots by the end of the year. And so I put this $100 deposit down, which is just a deposit, right? And now I'm getting questions from my friends and family of what's plan B. Let's say that truck does not arrive by the end of the year. And as you guys know, I have a tax problem. So when you have, and this is bizarre, I thought this was pretty self-explanatory, but I owe a lot of money in taxes this year as a byproduct of this channel taking off. And so one way to solve that is to buy a truck and then lowers my, I write off the truck and it takes my taxes all the way down. So I'd rather buy a truck and make truck payments and have videos for the channel and comparisons for you guys than I would sending the IRS a chunk of money. Makes sense, right? So that's what I'm doing. So now the question is what to do about the truck purchase if the truck doesn't arrive. So the story is, I talked to my tax accountant about this, is that I have to have it in use by year end. And she's doing my taxes. I'm not going to argue with her. She's doing my taxes. And I want to make sure that her and I are on the same page. Everything's up and up. So by December 31st, it's got to be in my driveway and I have to have the keys. I'm going to drive it. So what is going to happen with plan B is going to be a question. So the reality of things is, as it stands, is that I have to have a truck in my driveway. And I actually asked this question. I can buy a new truck or a used truck in either case. I just need a sizable dollar amount, I'm thinking between $30,000 to $40,000 of a truck to go against taxes. So that's kind of my budget. And it kind of came to me that if I don't have something by Christmas, I'm basically going to buy myself a Christmas present. I'm going to go in town, go to dealership, and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I think. But I was talking to my friend Dave from Nissan Nation Productions here today, and we were talking about different things. And one of the thoughts I had was, what if I went and bought something bizarre? So, I still would get the F-150 hybrid because I think it's got the most legs for videos and most things I can do with it and reviews like that. But what if I went and bought, and somebody brought up, what if I went and bought a dump truck? What if I went and bought a plow truck? What if I went and bought something bizarre, right? So, I mean, I don't need, it's one of those things. It's like, why? I don't know if I'd go buy a 1-year-old Ram, because at this point there's been tons of videos done it, tons of reviews done it. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know if I'd buy a new Silverado, because there's been a lot of stuff done on the Silverado. Tundra is going to get redone next year, so I'd be hesitant to do that. But I did think about that. Like, what if I went and bought something bizarre? That'd be option A. What if I went and just searched across the country? Like, there's this F-250 of the Harley Davidson decked out. I thought, what if I just bought that and drove around that for a little bit and sold it? I did. This is really funny, and Jill, you'll appreciate this. Is I went and went to kbb.com, so I looked at Blue Book values. I put in a 2020 Ram 1500 as new. Let's say I bought this new. I know 21s are out, but I went 2020 as new. And it said my fair market value for like a crew cab, Laramie Longhorn 4-wheel drive was between $49,000 and $54,000. That's what Blue Book said. That's what it should be new. If I clicked on the button and said trade it in. What's my trade-in value if I had this truck? The trade-in value was $47,000 to $51,000. So legitimately, I'm thinking with all the incentives on a new Ram truck, I might be actually able to buy this thing, keep it like 3 months, and sell it for about the same amount of money or a profit at that point, which is just, I mean, it's just, this whole thing is just so bizarre. And FYI, you should never buy a truck this way. Never. This makes no sense. And so, yeah, I don't know. I kind of think about these things a little differently. Like, what should I do? What makes sense? What should I go buy? What is plan B? And I thought about Power Wagon. Huge fan of the Power Wagon, right? So, but then I thought, what about those legacy classic truck Power Wagons, the $150,000 ones? Can I find that like at an auction before year end and buy it? Is it on like Bring a Trailer? So, all right. So I threw a bunch at Jill. Jill's shaking her head. I can tell she's just like, what in the world are we going to buy? So, Jill, if you're in my shoes, and I know you're in Chicago and you have some parallel parking fun coming up the TRX, what would you do? What would you do, Jill? Would you write a check to the IRS? I mean, would you write $6,000-$7,000 check to the IRS, or would you go buy a truck and write it all, and use the truck for a while? Would you buy? What do you think?
I mean, you make very good arguments about videos being done already on Silverado, on Ram, and trying to figure out like what the viability of buying one of those trucks would be. I think I saw somebody in the comments say you should go completely off the rails and buy a Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah,
that would make me laugh.
That would cause a huge drop in subscribers. Yeah, I don't know if.
But it would be funny. I mean, the Honda Ridgeline versus the Ram TRX, the Honda Ridgeline versus the F-250. I don't know. But no. I mean, okay, probably not the Honda Ridgeline. But I mean, yes, you should buy a truck before the end of the year. Giving $6,000 to the government is not. It's not what I would want to do. My husband owns his own business. I own my own business. We're looking at a similar situation. So, buy a truck. If you can't get the truck you want, it's like if you can't love the one you're with, or if you can't love the one you want, love the one you're with. I don't know. I mean, what would your second choice be? That's what I would go with. I don't know that I would go with anything crazy, frankly, because I mean, how much use are you going to get out of that? And then what do you do with it when you're done?
Yeah, and that's I go back for that too. There's James says, to be fair, maybe just get a plain Silverado F-150 or Ram, do comparisons against the red Silverado. Worked out well for TFL doing comparisons. And that's part of the reason I want to buy a truck, is that I get all these trucks as loans, but I can't do comparisons with them. And so I thought it'd be great to have another truck around, and I could do at least every truck comes in, I do a review on that truck and a comparison. And then my wife can drive the new truck. I can get video of both of us driving around with these new trucks. It just works a lot better. When you get these press loans, on occasion you can get your spouse to be allowed to drive, but it's not something I like to do very often. So, I mean, there's that question.
Yeah.
Like, do you get a base truck? And I also thought about this. What if I got a 21 FM50, but I decided not to go hybrid? What if I got a 5-liter with, I think the 5-liter you can get some of the power in the back. What if I decide not? I mean, that's another option. I could probably find a 3.5, a 5.0, maybe with some power on board. I can't remember the exact specs, but I believe that the hybrid gets a 7.2, but I believe you can get the smaller 2 point whatever 4, 2 point something or other.
I think it's 2.4.
Yeah, I think you can get that in different engines. So I was like, maybe I should do that instead, the one I can get. Doug says, how likely is the hybrid to be late? At this point, it is December 8th, right? And I put the deposit last week, and the guy was like talking about in the 20s. Like, he may call me around Christmas time, and I may have to get him plane to go. So I'm kind of set. I've kind of set Christmas as the deadline, because the 26th, as your husband knows what day of Christmas it is, as the 26th to 31st, you get
It doesn't.
5. Yeah, whole story. 5 days. I'd have 5 days to find a truck. And that's a little crunch time. I mean, you can go out to the dealership and say, I want that one. They'll write the paper up for you pretty fast, so I can do that. But I mean, that's kind of cutting it close. And so, yeah, I have some things. How about a Tesla? Well, so when I looked at the IRS rules, you can do a full write-off if it's a truck or SUV, heavy-duty SUV, that's around 6,000 pounds GVWR. So I don't think the Tesla qualifies in that. And I know TFL bought a brand new Raptor, and I'm not interested in buying a Raptor right now. That's not a truck I would buy. I love driving them. They're a lot of fun, but I would drive something you guys are driving. What about a Power Stroke F-150? Not many long-term reviews for that on YouTube, Mike asks. Here's the thing with the Power Stroke F-150. You can't get them. The 2021 Power Stroke is delayed. So at this point, I think Vegas has some odds on whether the diesel comes out or the hybrid comes out from Ford, because they're kind of at this point where either one could come out either moment. So the Power Stroke's not a good thing. Gladiator Diesel, I just had it for a week. I just drove it around and I just did a video on it. There's some thought about that, but that Gladiator Diesel is $66,000. The XLT Ford I'm looking at was $60,000. And then I got to try to resell this thing right away, right? So I got to get this truck, and then would I keep that truck for a year? Does that make sense, or would I sell it in the spring and get the F-150 hybrid? This is the stuff that I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and my head hurts and I got a headache and I'm like trying to figure out what the heck to do, because it's a very interesting problem to have. You can find a 2020 Power Stroke. I could. I have thought about the Power Stroke idea. Here's my thing. I'm very much interested in the Silverado diesel. That 3-liter Silverado diesel is amazing. I can't stand the interior. And so I'm like waiting to 2022 to come out with the interior. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I've owned a Tundra. A Tundra would be probably a safe bet, because I make my money off that Tundra all day long. I mean, I had my Tundra for 2 years and I sold it, made $5,000, walked out of the dealership. So, I mean, those trucks retain their value crazy. So the Tundra would make some sense. It'd be kind of interesting to go get a Nissan Titan. That was brought up. So the Titan's the truck I just can't see in the review. So what if I went down and just bought one?
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know how many views there are on the Titan. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Keep it for a year since you're testing the vehicles. Yeah, so I am keeping it for the year. That's the thing people understand as well, is this tax problem keeps reoccurring. So every year I'm gonna have the same situation. I basically need a huge write-off every year, and in my world, reviewing trucks, a truck is a huge write-off. So I keep it, I sell it, I take the loss, who cares, and then I get the redone again. So I don't know. It's a very interesting. The Power Wagon has me intrigued. The Ram in town's got me intrigued, because the Ram was like, the Laramie was like, I don't remember, it was like $8,000 off. And so you look at the resale value of that, I could probably keep that for 3 months and still make some money off when I go to sell it. So yeah, it's interesting. And Chris says, I think you should buy a popular used truck, whatever the model, and wait for the F-150 Tremor, and try to be the first one on one. I have thought about this. So I did the Tremor story today. Jill and I have been kind of crazy busy doing stuff, and she's going to talk about Armada here in a minute. I'm not going to occupy all the time tonight, although I normally do.
Yeah, you are.
I did watch the Tremor video today, and I did do the Tremor video, and the Tremor has antimatter blue, which I like the blue, which I didn't think I was. I didn't think I was a color snob, but maybe I am. And it's got the 2.0 kilowatt hookup in the back. I thought it was 2.4, but this says 2.0 kilowatt hookup in the back, and it's got towing and payload. So I don't know. It's interesting.
So I think I think the gasoline versions of the F-150 with the power on board are 2.0, and then I think the hybrid offers 2.4 as the base, and then the 7.2 as the up level.
And that
so there's 3 different versions
right.
of the power on board.
And that's why Jill is the managing editor, so she has all her facts in the top of her head. So. Yeah, I put your comments below. What should I buy? This is so interesting to me. I've never come, but that again is assuming that the 21 F-150 is that I put a deposit on doesn't come in. So interesting. So anyways, let's get back to Armada and Kicks came out today. So Jill covered this. So Jill, I will hand it back to you. You were not muted this time. Okay. You have full power over your range. All your vocal is all turned up. So let's have it. What's new with the Armada?
So second verse, same as the first. I am not Henry VIII, but the Armada is refreshed for 2021. So it's not all new, but it gets some styling changes on the exterior. It is also, interestingly, the first vehicle in the Nissan lineup to get the new Nissan logo. So, their reinvention of their logo. So it'll be the first vehicle that gets that. And it adds some new technology. I think they have added a 12.3 inch screen, and which they're calling best in class. But I think they're saying pretty much everything on the vehicle is best in class. The towing is 5,800 pounds max, but that's what it was last year. So that didn't really change. It has the same engine, but it gets 10 more horsepower. But the caveat there is the 10 extra horsepower is because premium fuel is recommended. So if you have premium fuel, I know how Tim feels about that. If you have premium fuel, you get up to 400 horsepower, and I think it was 413 pound-feet of torque. But if you don't put premium fuel in, you're looking at 390 horsepower, which is what this model year currently gets, is 390 horsepower. But it's the same engine as the QX80. Which gets 400 horsepower. And so I wonder what they're going to do with the QX80 to differentiate it, because I already have problems with the QX80. I like it, but why would you buy that instead of the Nissan Armada? Because the Nissan Armada is a pretty good vehicle. Interior upgrades, like I said, the 12.3 inch screen. It gets standard safety technology. I was trying to think what else. I feel like I wrote this story so long ago, even though it was only a couple of hours. So much has happened in between then. But yeah, so it's refreshed. It's not all new, but I like the Armada. It's one of those vehicles that if somebody's looking for a 3-row, 8-passenger vehicle, it's one that I would recommend because the seats are actually comfortable, unlike, the Tahoe and the Yukon. I don't feel like I'm sitting on cardboard. And, it drives nice. I mean, I still obviously am going to have the issues where I'm like trying to see over the corners, but overall it drives pretty well. So I'm looking forward to seeing it in real life because I like it already and they're making it better.
Fair enough. And the Kicks.
The Kicks. Okay. Also refreshed, not all new. It was all new, completely new vehicle in the Nissan lineup in 2018. And I really like this vehicle in a way for a completely different reason than I liked the Armada because of the petite size. It can very easily take the place of a sedan, but it gives you the higher ride height, but you're still going to get the compact size of a sedan. My favorite thing about it, however, is all of the standard safety tech. I feel like the Nissan Kicks kind of set the bar for including safety tech on a $20,000 vehicle. And they have standard automatic reverse braking. So I don't know if you've ever tried to back up, but you've backed up into a pole or something like that. I haven't, thankfully, but I know people who have. And but that's what the automatic reverse braking is there for. So it stops you from doing something stupid when you can't see it out your back window. And so, but that's standard on a $20,000 vehicle. And so for 2021, it'll get standard Apple CarPlay. It adds an 8-inch available screen. It adds an extra USB port. It'll be a USB-C port, and that'll be up in front. And then, did I say standard Apple CarPlay? So if I didn't say that, I meant that. And it adds adaptive cruise control. So it didn't have adaptive cruise control for this year, for 2020. But for 2021, it adds adaptive cruise control, which Nissan calls intelligent cruise control. So, but if you're not familiar with adaptive cruise control, what that is you put your cruise control on, and then if somebody cuts you off, the car slows down automatically for you. So it basically senses whatever is in front of you and paces with the car in front of you. And Nissan system actually works pretty well. So looking forward to having that in the Kicks. But they haven't announced pricing on either vehicle. They have only said that they are going to be available in early 2021. I do think they said the Armada should be in dealers by January. They didn't say anything about Kicks, but I think I read a couple of articles that said February, so they must have talked to somebody who said something that they didn't say in the press release or in the press preview. But so February probably for Kicks, and then January for Armada, and pricing will be announced closer. But because this isn't an all-new vehicle, I don't anticipate a huge price jump.
You know, my biggest takeaway from all of that is your description of adaptive cruise control. So when I talk about adaptive cruise control, I talk about how you set cruise, and if you want to pass a vehicle, you just go around the lane, you go around the vehicle. You talk about adaptive cruise control when somebody cuts you off. I think there's a difference between the country life and the city life.
Yes. Yeah, no, probably. I mean, in Chicago, I find it very hard to use adaptive cruise control because usually adaptive cruise control will have like 2 or 3 seconds distance between you and the car in front of you. And that is a lot further than what you think it is. Like you're driving along the highway and you're like 1,000, 2, 1,000, but it's more like 1,000, 2, 1,000. And so there's like 4 car lengths between you and the car in front of you, and people go into that space all the time when you're driving in Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago. And yeah, there could be 1 car length in front of you and somebody's cutting you off. But so the great thing about the adaptive cruise control is it senses that and it slows you down before you can even react.
Well, again, I thought it was pretty interesting. Your different descriptions
cut you
were
off.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to bring up something. It says Adrian talks about how if I bought a truck for a truck, I should ignore the interior and just use it because it has all the power and bed utility features like bed steps, like the 21 Chevy Silverado 1500 3-liter diesel, cameras, biggest bed size, and tires, all that kind of stuff. But what I find fascinating about that statement is that why do people, and this comes up a lot in the comments, why do people give automakers a free pass and that stuff and not demand better? You know, so it's like I did the Ford F-250 Power Stroke. Did I have a Power Stroke on that? Yeah. Or no, it was F-250. Was it Power Stroke or whatever it was? Anyways, I did this video on it, and I talked about how the ride quality on that thing sucks, and how it's probably a byproduct of the soft front axle. But I said, look, if you're into soft front axle, into that pulling stuff and playing in the dirt, this is a great option for you. It's just, by the way, there's other options on the market that don't hurt your back. And it was funny because I remember I was doing some stuff and I saw Roman talk about it, and I saw somebody else talk about it, and they all had the same takeaway. This truck rides rough. And people were like, well, it's a truck, damn it. You shouldn't compare about ride quality. You should just use it as a truck. It's going to ride hard. And I was like, why? Why not? You're spending $60,000, $70,000 for these trucks. Why not demand better? Like Ram figured it out. Ram's got a smooth riding 3/4 ton. Chevy's got a smooth riding 3/4 ton. Why not demand better? I find that comment a lot. It's like somebody today said that you're not a real truck guy because truck guys never talk about, getting inside the cab. They just get inside the cab. I'm like, I know lots of truck guys that are like 6'4" that bitch about how tall trucks are. How much time to get in the cab? I mean, it's just because it just boggles my mind that people don't demand more. And I think as journalists, yeah, I get picky about things. And I know I asked Jill to do now likes and dislikes. And she's gotten a few things that people could say, well, that's not a big deal, whatever. But demand better, damn it. That's my takeaway. Why not? I remember like the Volvo you did that didn't have the third row USB. Yeah, and so you put kids back there.
Third row USB. Yeah, it didn't have third row USB ports or power folding seats, and it's like an $80,000 car. Like, what the heck?
Right, and at third row seats, you have your kids back there, and I appreciate the parents that come on this channel and they talk about how they want quiet time with their kids, and their kids are going to stare out the windows and count the corn stalks as we drive by and do the IC games and stuff like that. But I got to tell you what, I've traveled with my kids quite a bit, and as a parent of new kids who are into technology, holy cow, is it nice. Headphones, Wi-Fi, and a tablet. And I am cruising. I got no stress. I got nothing going on. And so, yeah, that's why I think it's kind of funny. It's always like, you just start having kids, start having stuff, start having things. And I'm just saying demand better. If you like the F-250, and that's fine, and the interior doesn't bother you, that's fine. But from my aspect, I'm paying money, and I want more for my money. So yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I did want to ask you. Speaking of technology, this was a YouTube short I did the other day that got people's comments. So I didn't see your comment though on this. Key ignition like the GMC Canyon has, or push button start stop. I shouldn't say start stop. It's push button start. Push button on. Do you still have a key?
So, I can go both ways on this. However, similar to the pet peeve I have with wireless Apple CarPlay, but you have to plug in to charge, if you are going to have a key, you better not have keyless entry. And if you are going to have to use your key fob to click a button, you better not have push button start. Like, those are two things to me that, like, you either have passive entry and push button start, or you have to use the key fob to unlock the door and a key. Because I'm a girl. I don't carry a purse, but I'm going to put my key in a pocket. I'm going to put it someplace else. And I don't want to have to be like digging through my pockets and to try and find the key to unlock it. And then I get in the car and I'm like, all right, what do I do with the key? So I'm not necessarily bothered by that. I will say I wrote a review, and it's on the website, of the Kia Seltos. And I also did a video review of the Seltos, and I got completely dinged for my comments about the fact that the version of the Kia Seltos that I had made you use a key. And it was a $26,000 car, and I was kind of aghast that at that price point, you still had a key. So for Kia, because Kia usually levels up their content. And if you'd gone one level up in terms of trims, it wouldn't have had a key. It would have been push button start and passive entry. But that vehicle really irked me that it had a key. So I'm not generally opposed to having a key, but it needs to make sense. And it needs to not like have weird technology connections. So like push, passive entry, and then you have a key, so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The comments I got back were really interesting comments, and I'll put on a couple here. One guy asked me, says, if you have push start and your battery dies, and like the whole system's dead and you can't jump it, what do you do? And it was like, so then somebody else commented, and I thought it was pretty interesting. He's like, as a tower, like a tow hitch company, they just hook you on the rear, and they would drag you on. They'd have to drag you on a flatbed and tow you off till they get started again. And the guy asked, he says, what if you're in the middle of the road and your car dies, which has happened. We did the reliability stories for Chevy, and I shouldn't say just Chevy because of reports, but one of the issues was that sometimes the dash goes blank and the truck dies, like the engine dies. He says, what if you're stuck and you need to put it in neutral? How do you put it in neutral with just the push button start? And I actually had to do some research on this and look it up, and you can actually hold in that push button start without your foot on a brake. Goes in accessory mode. You can put it in neutral from there. And then the last thing I thought was a really interesting point, and I know this a lot with my old 62, is when the trucks get older, and we use trucks a lot as they get older, how do you do it as far as turning the crank over to start it up, right? So right now, your brand new truck, you press the button, you just tap it, and the thing turns over. But in 15, 20 years, when the starter's old and the battery's old, how do you crank it until it turns over? And it turns out you can actually push in that push button start for a while, and it'll engage the starter a couple times, is what I've been led to believe. But I thought those were really interesting thoughts that I hadn't thought about before. Like my 62, I got to crank for a little while until it turns over. It's old truck. That's what happens. And so as technology has invaded, or I guess invaded is not a great word, but as technology has become part of the truck world, what happens in 15, 20 years when you have a lot of use in your truck and you're still trying to use it? Are you going to end up replacing the starter more often? Are you going to replace the button more often, the battery more often? What are the maintenance concerns as the truck gets older? So I don't know. It's interesting. So Great Idea says on his 2011 Kia Sorento, plagued with electrical issues related to the push button start. Roll back, called twice in many phone calls. Not necessarily true about what I said. When my push button malfunctioned on the Sorento twice, it was brick. So he pushed in his push button a couple times. It was bricked on the Sorento. So I don't know. I've done like I said, I've watched some videos on this. I've done a little research on that, but I don't know the answer to that one. Like what happens when that button wears out? What happens when it doesn't just immediately turn over? Do you have more expenses with a new starter? Do you have to tow it in? It's a very interesting thing.
So, I don't know if this is still the case because I haven't looked in it and into it because I haven't cared. But when the push button start first came out, they had a key override. And I remember this specifically maybe in a Mazda vehicle where you could separate the fob and like a key would come out, and there was something on the steering column, like a casing that you could use your thumbnail and open it up, and there was a key in the stock, like an ignition key, for a key.
I know there's a key
I don't
in the
know
fob.
if that still exists.
Yeah, I know there's a key in the fob. I thought that was for getting in the doors when the doors wouldn't work.
But I think that once upon a time in some vehicles, there was actually a manual override. But I don't know that they're doing that anymore because, technology is always right, and it has been perfected.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting. So yeah, I think one of these days we'll have a slow news week, and we'll do a story on how do you override a push button start, because I think it's pretty interesting because every vehicle is gonna be a little bit different, and I thought it was a very, very, very good question, and leads me to, with all this EV talk, all this technology from EVs and such, it leads me to have questions about like what happens when those screens go blank. How do you replace that stuff? Oh, Jill's writing it down.
I'm writing that down so we don't forget.
Yeah, I think it's a fair. I don't know if there's a real. We'd have to email some OEMs. I think what we do is we should email Chevy, Ford, Ram, Toyota, and Nissan and just ask them what happens in the truck when the push doesn't work. And then Ron wants to know what happens in 20 years when a sensor goes bad and won't start. Will the sensor still be available? That is a great question. So is your truck done at that point? I don't know, but we do have a super chat. We have $5 coming in, and the comment from David of Nissan Nation Production says, "Shot for Jill." So he sent $5 for a shot for Jill. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. So Right Lying Hog says hashtag save the keys. So I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I thought, and that's one of the things I really enjoy with this channel is I do these YouTube shorts, and Jill does these tiki-taki things. Anyways, we do these short videos, and we get these responses back from you guys, the viewers, on questions you have. And Jill had a good one, and you guys didn't know this. We did the Combo Tahoe review, which I was hoping you guys watched. We had a lot of fun doing that. We're going to attempt to do more of those. They're tough sometimes to make them work. But Jill did that with TikTok, and she had somebody ask about having kids in the vehicle playing around, like as kids do. Could they put the vehicle in park and drive, right? So it was a drive, was it shifting gears, right? So do you want to explain what the video?
Yeah. So people were asking me about the gear shift in the new Tahoe. And so, I don't know if anybody out there is familiar with TikTok, but I put a video out, people make comments, and then you can reply to their comment with another video. And so whenever somebody asks me a question, I try to, if I still have the vehicle or if I have a video of whatever they're asking about, I try to reply with the video comment. So people were like, hey, show us the gear shift. So I showed them, the push-pull system. If you watched our video, we talked about that a little bit. So neutral and park are push, but drive and reverse are like a pull. And so surprisingly, this wasn't even, so I don't have kids, full disclosure. So this wasn't even something
besides her husband.
I even considered. Well, that's true. Yeah, my husband is sometimes a child. But so this wasn't something that occurred to me that a parent would be concerned about their child, like pushing these buttons and then putting the car in gear and it rolling away with their child in the driver's seat. So first off, what are your child doing in the car by themselves? But second, I was just like, okay, I guess that's a valid concern as a parent that their child would do something and the car would roll away with them in it. So I did another video, like a follow-up video to that, and basically started the car and pushed the buttons without putting my foot on the brake. Because granted, I'm the size of a 10-year-old, but kids who are going to play with this are probably smaller than me. They're not going to be able to reach the brake pedal. So, the takeaway was, if you push, pull, whatever you do, if your foot is not on the brake, it's not going to move. And if you turn the car off and then do the same thing, push, pull, whatever, the car doesn't change gears. So in my mind, that wasn't a concern. And the question that I got after I turned the vehicle in, so I don't have an answer for it, is what if you're driving and your child, who should not be in the front seat, pushes or pulls a gear? So like you're driving and then they pull the reverse. Like, does that change you? And you're going 70 miles an hour down the highway. Do you automatically go in reverse? And I think there's got to be some kind of a speed override there. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't going to try this at home. But I, didn't have the chance to ask the question or do any further videos or tests on that. But, I thought that was interesting. So not completely unexpected, but really interesting. By putting these short videos out there, the comments that you get that you didn't expect, and it's stuff that I wouldn't have thought of, mostly because I've been doing this for so long. So to me, it's really refreshing to get comments from people who maybe don't get the amount of cars that we get and are looking to buy a new car, just a regular consumer.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality of that is that people don't necessarily want to watch 20-minute reviews, 30-minute reviews, but if you do a 60-second thing, you get some interesting comments. I was driving around with Land Rover LWB. It's a $110,000 SUV, two-row SUV. And I remember this. We were driving. My mother-in-law was in the front seat with me, and we were just driving around. And she was checking things out as she just surprised this vehicle, and she actually pulled the park brake while I was doing 50.
Oh no!
And it was electric park brake, and I had some beeps on the screen, but it did override. So the software overrode the parking brake being pushed or being latched. And it was really interesting because, that's something that she didn't know what it was. She didn't know that button was a parking brake. She had never been in a vehicle like this before. And she never had been in that experience. And so, I mean, you can Mystery Solver says, LOL, no, of course it doesn't go in reverse. We can make those comments all we want, but the reality is there's people out there that really don't know, that really aren't car people, that really have some concerns about these vehicles and trying to figure things out. So, I don't know. It's been interesting. And yeah, there was something, great idea brings us up. And I think this has been, you might have the good answer to this. This has been overdone, but there was a lot of talk when the push button start came along, the key fob, keyless entry link stuff, of thieves stealing these cars. Mm-hmm. There's been some stories in Canada about the is it RF? Is that the word for RF transmitter? I think is what that's the
Is it RFID?
RFID, whatever. That's the electrical code that goes out to the vehicles. And so the idea is thieves can walk by your front door. Most people hang their keys by the front door or whatever they have, and they can scan it, and they go over and start your car and go off with it. So I think it was a very interesting thing. I have found that, and I've tested this well, I've accidentally tested this a couple times, is that if you do drive off without the key fob near you, won't let you drive off very far. And now they've gotten really picky. I had the Jeep Gladiator this week. I was outside the door trying to start up the engine, just not close the door. And my leg was just reaching in to hit I was just hitting the brake and pushing the button. It would not let me start the vehicle. It wouldn't let me start the vehicle until the key had gotten like past the steering wheel. And so, yeah, I couldn't actually I had to get that close to the vehicle to start it. So I think there was some fear of that going on, and I think there is still a fear out there of that hasn't been quelled yet, I should say. But I do know automakers have worked on that security, because I know in our meetings with automakers, security in cars is a huge topic.
Yeah. No, I mean, it really is. I wrote an interesting article for Consumer Guide Automotive about just general security, like within your vehicle. And one of the guys that I interviewed for the article, and I didn't put this in the article because my editor was like, no, you can't say that. But he basically said, like the USB ports in your cars, especially if you're in a rental car or a media fleet vehicle, he was just like, you should never, ever plug your phone into a port in a car that's not yours. And I was like, why? And he's like, you're giving yourself an STD basically by plugging your phone into something that's, you're giving yourself, you could potentially be getting a virus. You don't know what somebody has loaded in there. And and when you plug your phone into a car, you leave something of your phone behind. And so if somebody is up to nefarious deeds, they could, perhaps hack your phone or the data from your phone after you've left the vehicle just because you plugged in to charge your phone. And I was like, I will never plug my phone into a USB port again, wireless charging or nothing. And it was really funny because my husband and I were, we went to go visit my sister, and we were staying at a hotel, and, hotels have those USB ports. And he went and he plugged his phone into one of those USB ports. And I was like, you just gave your phone an STD, right? He was just like, what? And I was like, you need to read my articles more often.
I have heard that about things. So I end up, in hotel rooms, I've done this. I plug my cell phone a lot of times into my laptop, and then it charges off the laptop. So I have heard that security people. I gotta read Mike's comment here, because it was just funny when I was reading it. He says, Mike says, a friend of mine put his father's Grand Caravan at reverse at the stoplight, the 1990s model. That did not go over well when the light turned green.
No.
No. That's pretty bad. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So Mike also says, the Rams disappear with the RFID lots, my generation. Hopefully they steal mine before the 3-year mark so I can get insured for a new replacement. So, I mean, security in trucks is a huge issue. Security overall, because we're doing over-the-air updates now. We're doing Wi-Fi is built into these vehicles now. We're transmitting data. There's a lot of issues going on with that. But that was pretty interesting. I don't know. I don't know. It's something that it's fun to talk about, things that come up. So, Doug wants to know, the same thing can happen with Bluetooth Connect, like with Sync. So somebody could somebody could tap into that.
I mean, if you're walking down the street and you have your phone on Bluetooth and you have Bluetooth headphones in, like that's a bad idea. Somebody can tap into your phone that way. They can hack your phone. Yeah, the Bluetooth connection is 100%. And if you're connecting to your car via Bluetooth, also you're leaving stuff behind and somebody can hack you.
Yeah,
it's scary. It's scary.
It is. So they can get my Clash of Clans account and war or something. I don't. The one thing I don't do, and I learned this, I guess, years ago, is I never check my bank account on Wi-Fi. So I never. If I'm at home, I check my bank account. If I'm in the airport, I want to see what my bank looks like. I will sign out of Wi-Fi and I will check my account. And that's just something habit I have done, and I would encourage you to do the same if you're out there. But just something I think is knowing, so if I Google where the bathroom is. I don't turn off my Wi-Fi. You know, it's just, you want to know that, you know. But if I'm going to check my bank account, I'm going to, you know, definitely check that. So yeah.
There's an app for that, by the way.
Oh, Lord.
To find the bathroom. Charmin has a great, app about how to find a bathroom.
Well, in my neck of woods, I just go outside. But anyways, moving along. I don't think that...
Oh, to be a dude.
I don't think that works in Chicago maybe the back alleys. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I do want to talk about a couple things about coming up the channel. So we got about 7 minutes left. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the updates to the channel as far as new things coming. So I did a towing test with a Jeep Gladiator with about 3,000 pounds of trailer. Long story, I tried to go to dump and dump all the stuff out, put gravel in, and the dump's been closed the last couple of days. So I really want you guys on this, if you guys are watching this, that drops tomorrow. If you get a chance, check that out. I have not historically done towing on this channel because of the guys in Boulder who do a really good towing job. Lots of data they've accumulated over the years, and frankly, I figured they were doing it. But then I kind of got thinking about it, and I thought, you know what, if there's going to be a truck channel, I need to do more towing for myself. I do it at events. I've towed a lot, and I talk about things, but I just don't do it around the house very often. I just don't have opportunity. And now I have my cousin's trailer. That's a pretty nice trailer to have the opportunity to do it. So I plan on doing more towing. And I plan on doing maybe a little bit different than what they're doing in that I'm going about 1,000 feet up over what we call Wildcat Hills. And I have hopefully some good video showing you the elevation change and how that looks and coming on the backside. So I'm very excited to see what you guys' reaction is to that. I have a really good, I think Mike's still on. He had talked about the fuel economy that TFL got, and mine was way different. my fuel economy with that was shocking. So give me some feedback on that. I do have a GMC Canyon and Jeep Gladiator comparison coming up. Jill, we have a Defender coming out, which I did not get a chance to do it because some of you kind of did some body damage to ours. So your Defender will be the Defender video for a little while. And then what's your plan with the TRX? If people missed it earlier in the show, what's your plan with this TRX you just got?
Yeah. So the plan with the TRX, because Tim has already done a first drive review, so we came up with a crazy idea of driving it around to Chicago and seeing what it can and cannot do. So if you have suggestions on where I should try and take the TRX in Chicago, or if there's something that you want to see the TRX doing, let us know by, I think you said the 14th?
Yeah, which is, I think it's that Monday or Sunday. I glanced at my watch real fast.
Yeah. So at any rate, I figure we'll drive it around Chicago. We'll have some fun with it. And it's a big vehicle. So I'm telling you, it's probably not going to be able to do a lot very well in the city itself. But let us know what you think I should try and do in the TRX. I've already tried to park it in my garage, and you'll have to stay tuned to see whether or not it fit.
So the natural first thing somebody come out with it, they want you to check the oil. So what I'm wondering, okay. I have this image of you in a trapeze outfit with Jonathan, your husband, lowering you down to check the oil.
Or like the Mission Impossible spy.
Right.
I already have the ninja outfit, so I could totally, ninja my way.
Yeah. I really want to do that. Taking the UP and test it there. No, she can't make it all the way UP in a week. We have a distance requirement. So yeah, it's gonna be fun with that. Great Idea says towing and payload are huge issues now. Some of these high-end vehicles full of technical advancements and luxury have destroyed payload ratings. That is very true. I was doing my TRX first drive. I believe that TRX payload Gladiator payload was 899 pounds. And I want to say that the TRX payload was not much more than that. You'll look at that on the sticker on the side door jamb when you get in. That's something I want you make sure you point out. But I think that TRX payload is like 1,000 pounds. And so it's, and so if you happen to be Nebraska sized or larger of my friends.
I was going to say that's a five men people, or five men in the car.
Probably 4. I'm saying Nebraska size.
No. I'm like, how much do Nebraska men weigh?
Yeah, they're all like 250.
Yeah, so you can fit 10 Simonellos or 4 Esther dolls. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, it depends what they had for breakfast. This is a huge issue. What they had for breakfast. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jill's channel's on the screen. She's almost at 600 subscribers. You want to check out her channel. She's doing those car things over there. So she can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Or TikTok.
Or
you
TikTok.
Can follow me on TikTok. Although I should take some of
yeah.
my TikTok videos and upload them to YouTube as well, because they're actually pretty good. So I'm already doing the videos. I should also put them on YouTube now that they're doing the YouTube shorts.
I agree. Does it fit in underground parking?
Okay. Well, I'm going to say no.
You
but
might have to tape measure.
I need to see what.
Yeah, I think you probably need to tape measure that.
I need to see what the height is, because when you get ready to go into a garage, it's like, this is your measurement. So I took the Escalade. So I just swapped out of the Escalade, and that video is also going to be coming soon to Tim's channel. And I took that into a parking garage, and that was surprisingly close. I did a couple of TikTok videos, and I did one, like, I was holding the camera while I was driving through the garage. Probably don't do that at home. But like, I literally was ducking because you had these posts and poles like across the top, and I was just like, oh, that's really close. And I got out and I took a video, and I was like this far away from the poles. So yeah, if the Cadillac Escalade was having issues, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a tape measure, but I'm not gonna go into that blind.
Yeah, I have a special request for you. I'll put it on this live stream. I want to see you standing next to the mirror. I'm trying to figure out if the bottom of the mirror is taller than you, or if you're taller than the bottom of the mirror. Because from the perspective on the video,
so me standing in front of the grill was not enough.
Yeah, so when I saw your video today, I was kind of measuring in my head the height of the bottom of the mirror and you, and I don't know. You might be right there.
All right, I will. It's dark now in Chicago. It's 6:30 here, so it's not going to happen tonight. But I will have either set up my tripod to take the photo, or I'll have my husband come out and take the photo for tomorrow. And I will post it or send it to you or whatever. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it is interesting. All right. So Riley's on late. I should give one more update on the plan B for truck shopping. Plan B is I don't have a plan. I have to have a truck. And so either I'm going to go to town and play eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm debating about finding some absurd truck that makes no sense, like a dump truck or a plow truck or something crazy. I don't have any plan B. But I do have the F-150, 2021 F-150 hybrid, $100 deposit in Michigan. If I can possibly get on a plane, I'll possibly get on a plane. So I don't know. It's pretty interesting what's going on. Oh, and one last thing. Gladiator Diesel has a question about Quadristeer. I actually interviewed Nextier, who created Quadristeer. Lots of things there. But a video on this channel is me interviewing the guy talking about the next generation of Quadristeer. So if you're curious about that, go check out that video. So there you go. I think it's pretty interesting. We'll see what those videos turn out to be. Hope you guys enjoy those videos. Any final thoughts, Jill? I never get the chance to do this, but...
Final thoughts? I don't know. I'm really actually looking forward to anybody's realistic suggestions with the TRX, because, I'm trying to think if I know there's a place in my neighborhood where there's speed bumps. So I'm like maybe envisioning myself like maybe trying to like go over some speed bumps. I don't know. I'll have to think about it if it's not a school day, because it isn't a school zone. So I'll have to be careful about that one. But yeah, so I'll have to, maybe there's some speed bumps or curbs I can climb on. Yeah, I mean, tight city streets, parallel parking. That's where my head is right now. But if you've got anything creative that you think I should do, I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So definitely check out the video. Lots of comments already. It's good stuff. As always, make sure you check out the website. Jill's doing a lot of work over there. We see all the social media on there and Jill's channel. Check that out. Subscribe over there. She's trying to build up a little bit for the car stuff she does, but truck stuff over here. Truck stuff. So really good stuff. As always, thanks for watching. We will see you guys down the road. Oops.